Hello, everybody, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathy. I'm Kathy Ondas, and today is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. I am excited to share this really fun birthday card with you that we are going to be using two bundles, the two-tone Flora bundle and the Something Fancy bundle. And they are all part of the Fancy Flora suite. Today's card has quite a bit of stamping on it, but I'm going to show you a couple techniques. One, heat embossing using white on colored cardstock as part of our design. And we're just going to go from there. This is a gorgeous suite, so I am going to flip my camera down and we're going to get started. Okay, you should see my desktop. If you're here with me live, if you have any trouble either seeing or hearing, please leave me a comment. Also, if you're here with me live, I'd love for you to leave me your name and where you're from. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am so happy you're here. And if you are returning, thank you for your support. Whether you're here with me live or on the replay, I really appreciate it. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to get started. So I'm going to bring in my catalog, and this is on page 15, and I actually have it folded over so you can see it better. But this is what that whole Fancy Flora suite looks like with some examples of cards, and I'll go back to that in a minute. So I am using, during this demonstration, we're using the two-tone Flora bundle. We're going to be using several of the stamps in that and the dies. The large die we're not going to be using today. And then this suite comes with called Something Fancy bundle. It is a lot of great greetings and some really beautiful tags to be able to cut those greetings out. Also, you have some fine shimmer paper, and you have these beautiful iridescent pastel gems. These come in Calypso Coral, Balmy Blue, and Gold, and we're going to be using those today. We aren't using the Pool Party ribbon, but we are using this designer series paper. And I am going to pull this in for you to see because the catalog doesn't do it justice. I'm going to set this off to the side, and I am going to bring in the designer series paper for you to see. And I had it kind of separated out here. Now, this is the Fancy Flora designer series paper, and it comes 48 sheets, 6 by 6. You get 4 sheets of each design. So look at these beautiful papers. They all look like they're watercolored, or not even watercolored, but I forget that other paint. Oil painted, some of them even look. But look at that beautiful designs. And then if you flip them over, you have watercolor backgrounds that you can use. Now, the sheet we're going to be using today is this one, so I'm going to pull it off to the side, and I'm going to bring in the other 6 sheets for you to see. And just going to kind of spread them out. Just look at these beautiful, they're paintings. That's exactly what they look like. Then you have this one, and I love the colors. Now, if we flip them over, you're back to some watercolors, some almost geometric, and just beautiful papers. Lots you can do with it. I'm going to bring in my stamp sets, and this is the two-tone Flora. It is a photopolymer stamp set because it's a 2-step stamp. And I am going to show you how to use these. That's why these 2 are out. If you're new to stamping and you haven't done a lot of 2-step, this will be a chance for you to see how it's done. And then here's the Something Fancy stamp set. And this one is a cling stamp set, not the photopolymer. And you have all these great greetings. And with this, which I didn't show you, the other one, with this comes these dies that you have to cut out the greetings. You can even make some fancy tags here. You have a hexagon, and then today we'll be using this little banner for our card. Excuse me, I'm a little hoarse today. Not sure why. So I apologize for that. Now the dies for the two-tone Flora. You have one. If you notice in here, I want to show you this. You have 4 different flowers, 2 steps each. And the sizes kind of mirror one another. So the large and then your detailed, your base stamp here, the detail, the smaller one here with the detail, and your base stamp for the second largest with detail. So I am going to, in a minute, show you how you use these. Now today I've used a lot of the smaller die cuts, but I have not used this one. And this one we're going to save for another day. So I'm going to put these off to the side and we're going to get started. So I am going to show you the card we're going to make. I don't always like to do that. I like it to be a surprise. But this is the card we're going to make today. I just think this is so pretty. And my idea for this card came from the mini catalog. I actually cased it. I switched up the greeting a little bit to happy birthday from congratulations, and I switched up some of the flowers and design, but pretty much I cased it. So if you're ever looking for ideas for cards to make, look at your catalog, case it, make it just as it is, or switch it up and make it your own using that design. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to move this off to the side. And I'm going to bring in our paper, our cardstock. So we are going to be using soft succulent. Now, don't worry about the measurements because they will be in the post, that the link will be right down below the video. And I hope they have that up later today, but I have in my description that it'll be up no later than 10 a.m. tomorrow. So this is a 4 1/4 by, or 8 1/2 by 4, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. Sorry about that. So we're going to go ahead and fold into the heel. And I'm just going to burnish this so I get a nice crisp fold. Okay, I usually switch mine over and do both sides. I find they lay a little flatter for me. Now we're going to be doing a layer of evening evergreen because that's what is in our papers. I pulled all the colors from my designer series paper, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. So if you remember, I said I wanted to use this as my paper. This is a 6 by 6 sheet. And you can see it has some fresh freesia in it. Hopefully you can see that if I pull it up. And that's what our flowers are going to be. But I need to trim this down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And we're going to go ahead and do that. Now when you're trimming, or when I'm trimming, I like to pick out the area that I want to use. So I know I want to keep this part up here, and my card needs to be 5 in height. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim off the bottom. And I'm going to save that to use for the inside of the card. Okay, so now I need 3 3/4. And I do want to keep some of this white. So that means I have to trim this down to here, but I don't want to cut all this off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim about a 3/4 of an inch of this white off. Okay. And now I can go back and measure my 3 3/4 and trim from there. And I will save this to use for something, another card. So let me set this back. So here's our layers. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere these. I'm using multi-purpose glue, which if you follow me, you know I do a lot. I like the fact that it allows me to kind of shift my paper around or slide it if I need to do that. And I'm just going to make sure I get all my edges. And I'm going to go ahead and just center this. I know it is the beginning of the week, but I hope you're having a good beginning to your week. And be able to find some time for relaxation, no matter what it is you like to do, whether it's crafting or something else. Okay, so easy peasy with this. Card base is done. Now we got to do the rest of the work. So we're going to set this off to the side. And I am going to bring in some paper. Now, I showed you all those two-step stamps. I'm going to bring those back in. And these are all four of those stamps, double stamped. Now, these are in fresh freesia. Now, these are a little dark because when I had stamped these last evening, I had just re-inked my fresh freesia stamp pad. And it didn't seem to work itself in quite as much as I would like. But these are the different sizes that you get from these four stamps. I'm going to show you how to do the two-step stamp. I'm only going to stamp one because I went ahead and did them so that you did not have to watch me stamp three and cut them out. So let's go ahead and we're going to bring in these two stamps. These are the two largest ones. And I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper. And we're going to bring in our fresh freesia. And hopefully this stamp pad settled down a little bit since I re-inked it. Now I am bringing in my piercing mat because I just find that I don't get as sharp an image if I don't use it. And this still looks a little wet, but we're going to go ahead and use it anyway. Okay, and you can see if I pull it up, that is wet. I could stamp off, and we can try that just to see how it's going to work. And let's bring in another scrap piece of paper, and we'll stamp that here. And I didn't stamp off evenly because of the edge here, but even too light for me. So we're going to stay with this one. And let's go ahead, and this is the second part of our two-step stamp. So you're going to line it up, and you match your, stand up here, you match your edges, and you're simply going to stamp down and pick up. So here's your two-step stamp. So as you work with these stamps, just kind of see what works for you in lining them up. I've kind of found some little cheat parts, knowing where to place them. And I don't know if you can see these right here, but they're like the stamina for the flower. And I knew those went where the bare spot is. So there's like a little hint in each one of those stamps. Just use it as you practice with it and use it, and they really will come out quite pretty. So I did, to save us some time, go ahead and I stamped. I'm going to bring in my pieces and parts here, and you can see these are a lot lighter. My ink pad was not well inked. So a lot different. I do think these would bring in some more color and pick up the color in this paper, as you can see. But we're going to go with these because they're done. Okay, now something else we need is we need some branches. So let's pull that stamp out. And I'm going to set this off here. And we're going to bring this stamp in. Okay, these are the leaves. Now to do these, I'm not stamping with ink on white paper. I'm going to stamp on soft succulent. We're going to use Versamark, and we are going to heat emboss with white. So let's bring in all of our equipment here. Now I'm using the kit from Stampin' Up. If you don't have this, use a piece of paper, whether it's like your copy paper, and go over that and then just fold it up to pour back in here. But I am going to use that, and I'm going to bring in my little embossing buddy. This thing is a lifesaver for me. And what it does is it takes the oils from your hand off the paper, and it also removes some static. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp one of these, and I'm going to bring in and we're going to ink this up. And this one's pretty wet too, because I re-inked it. And hopefully you can see that there. So we're going to go ahead now and get this out of the way, and we're going to bring in our tray, and I'm simply going to go ahead and sprinkle my white embossing powder over it. And you can see from using the embossing buddy, I really don't have any excess embossing powder kind of hanging around. If I did, it probably wouldn't be a big deal because we'd be cutting this out with one of the dies. But I'm going to go ahead and move that over, and we're going to get this heat embossed. Now, you have your heat gun. If you're new to that, this has two settings. Setting number 1 is used if you want to dry your ink, or if you're watercoloring and you need to dry it a little quicker, that's the low setting. To heat emboss, you want to use setting number 2, or the high setting. I turn mine on and I let it heat up for just about a minute before I put it to the paper. So it is going to be noisy, and I apologize for that. So I'm going to let that heat up here. And with part of that kit, you do have like a ceramic tongs. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that up so I don't burn my fingers. Now I hold my heat gun about 6 inches from the paper, and I just hold it still until you start to see that embossing powder turn shiny. And then I just follow it around till I have a nice even glaze or shine to it. And then I turn it off because, you know, you can burn your heat embossing. It does flatten it, and you can burn your paper and it'll scorch and turn brown. So this is what it looks like. And to save us some time, because we need 3 of them, I went ahead and stamped them and heat embossed and die cut. So these are ready for us. So we're going to set that off to the side. Now for my card, I wanted to add a little bling, and I noticed that when I looked at it on the catalog. So I am using the shimmer paper, which is part of this suite. It is called the Fine Shimmer Paper, and it comes in soft succulent, fresh freesia, and gold. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. And we're going to be using a piece of the gold today. So I'm going to move that out of our way. Now, I am using a piece of this to show you how to do it. And I am using an old punch that is no longer available. Only reason is because that's what I have, and I always tell you, use what you have. But in our annual catalog on page 153, there is a punch very similar to this one that cuts out bows. So if you don't have a punch, that's the one I would recommend you get. So we're going to go ahead and bring this in, and I'm just going to open it up. And I have my gold here, and just going to slide it in and pop it out. And we need 3 of these. So yes, I went ahead and cut some ahead of time. So now we have everything we need to put the front together. So let's bring our card back in, and we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals for this. And we may need some glue dots, so I'm going to bring those in. So let's see how I want to arrange this. I want to be able to, I can put my large flower up here. If you noticed back in the, when we looked at the catalog, they kind of had it on the bottom. So let's see what that would look like. And we'll have 2 different cards. Yeah, I like it this way. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on. And I'm only going to put 3 on. And the reason being I'm not going to load it up is because I want to be able to fit my branches underneath my flowers. And I won't be able to do that if I have all these different, have the whole thing filled with dimensionals. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take these off. Now I'm going to use my pick tool only because I find it's quicker for me. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this here. Okay, my next one is this one. I want to put this one right about here and have it overlap. So I'm only going to put a dimensional up here on the top and 1 down on the bottom. So here and here. So let's get those on and make sure I got this. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 here and 1 down here. Now, this is going to lay on top of this, so I'm not going to put anything there. You could, help if I took the paper off here. You could put a glue dot if that makes you feel like it'd be more secure, but you can see it's laying on there and not really moving. And then this one, I want this to go, I'm going to put this here. And this is going to lean on the flowers. So 1 down at the bottom here. And I know it's easy to just slap them on and put it on. But I found so many times if I don't kind of look where to put them, then I can't finish up and I'm having to pull them off and redesign it. So we're going to go ahead with that. Now my leaves, these are long and you can see you can fit them in. But you can also, if you don't want them quite as long, you can easily trim them off. So I think with this one's going to go in here. And I may trim that off. I want another gold right down here. And we'll put that. Now these are going to get glued on, where these are going to get put in. So let's find where we're going to put these. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in my glue. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a dab here and there because you don't need a lot. I'm just going to hit some of the petals or leaves of this sprig and the tops. And we're just going to go ahead and slide that in there. Okay. Do the same here. Oops. Now, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like a catalog, I'd be more than happy to send you one. Just hit that little button up at the top that takes you over to my website and hit Contact Me. Send me an email with your name and address, and if you're looking for the mini catalog or the annual or both, and I will be happy to send that to you. And also, I would love the opportunity, if you don't have a demonstrator, to earn your business. Okay, so we've got our gold down. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. So now I want to work at putting these in. And I want them to kind of be the gold to be in the background. But I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. So I'm going to pull in my snips here. And I just think it'll be easier for me to fit this in where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that down, and we're going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on just the top here. One here. And you can see I cut mine in half. Mainly because they work just as well. And when I'm working with small areas like this, it's much easier for me to fit them on. Let's go ahead and get these off. Okay, let's bring this in, and I want to see the gold behind it. So there's our first one. Now with this one, I'm also going to trim off a little bit. And we're going to put some dimensionals on this. Now, Stampin' Up! Is having a great special. If you're interested, if you've ever thought of joining Stampin' Up!, even as a hobby demonstrator, this is the time to do it. You get to pick $175 worth of products for $99. Now, there's also a couple other options. We're going to slide this in, and I want that just like that. You have two other options. One would be to pay $129, and you would get to a mini stamp and cut and emboss machine. I'm going to trim this one. You either get to pick the new boho blue or the white, which is a $63 value, I believe. And then you get to pick $175 worth of products, and all of that, which comes to like $230 some in products for $129. So just such a great savings. You don't have to sell. You will get 20% off on all future purchases. And if you don't buy $300 worth of products by the end of July, you just go back to being a customer. So really, a really great, I hate to use the word deal, but it is. And even if you save for those couple months, that's a great savings. So here's the front of our card. Now, for the outside, I chose, I think I told you I stamped it ahead of time, happy birthday. I used Evening Evergreen on Soft Succulent. And this is going to lay right across here. So I'm going to put a glue dot on one end, and I am going to put a Stampin' Dimensional on the other. And I'm going to use a scrap piece here because it doesn't really matter, and I like to use them all up. So let's do this. And then I'm going to bring in a glue dot and just go ahead and put one on the end here. And then let's just position this right about here. So here's the front of our card. Now let's do the inside. And I'm going to move some of this extra stuff out of the way here. So for the inside, I have a piece of basic white. It's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And remember when I trimmed the paper, I did cut a 3/8 by 5 1/4 inch piece to use as my edge on my inside. So we're going to go ahead and attach that to the edge. That gives me a better idea of where to place my greeting on the remaining part of the paper. So there's that. And you can see I have some glue on there. I'm going to show you how to get that off. I have a glue eraser, and you can get these off of Amazon. And they simply will rub that glue right off. And you don't have to rub hard at all, and you can see it's gone. And then I have a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and rub that off. And there we are. So these are worth their weight in gold, and they're inexpensive. So for this one, I chose the greeting since it says happy birthday, grateful for the everyday magic of you. And I'm going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen. So let's bring that in. Okay. Now I've lined my paper up because I don't do anything straight. And there's our inside, and we're going to go ahead and adhere that to our card, and then we're going to add some gems, and we are done. So if you enjoyed today's card and video, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. That helps me grow my channel. If you hit that subscribe and ring that little bell, you'll get notified either when I post a new video or I go live to do a new video. And I would really appreciate that. So here's the inside. Now let's just add some bling. So these are the iridescent pastel gems that come with this suite. They come in Calypso Coral, Balmy Blue, and Gold. And I'm going to use the gold. So let's put 3 of these on. And I'm going to use my pick tool. I use this to pick up my gems and be able to place them wherever it is I want them. So I'm going to put one here. Let's place a little one up here. And let's place a third one. I'm going to go here. So here's our card. I'd love to know what you think. Isn't that beautiful? I love the colors on it. And you're ready to send it to someone for their birthday. So I hope you did enjoy today's video. I will be back Friday morning at 11 a.m. I hope to see you there with me then. And you have a wonderful week. Stay safe and stay healthy. See you soon.